Us talking to us about your first kind of mission in
Okay,
Laos.
yeah, and what was on a crew, because you have to understand what's on a crew. Are we ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we talked about the two pilots, right? I think we took care of that. We got to the booth, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Black Crow was the guy that detects the airplane, detects the truck movement. The TV is a low-light TV, and it literally enhanced the ambient light by a factor of 1 million. So any kind of starlight, it was like looking at daylight. So it was and of course magnified everything, so you had a real good look at what was on the ground. If the TV was working, you had a real good look. The one I want to talk about is the infrared, and that was the major change. And I know when this happened because it happened the same time I came aboard the 130. In November of 1971 is when the AD-7 replaced the AD-6. And the difference between these two systems is the difference between a Model A Ford and a 2013 Ferrari. It was a monumental increase in infrared technology, a major breakthrough. And let me tell you just so you can get an appreciation of what it was like.
Please.
Because I trained on the AD-6 for the first part, and by the time I finished my training in Eglin, we were up to the AD-7 already. All the airplanes have been replaced with the new system. If you were at a slant range of 10,000 feet, and you were looking at through triple canopy jungle, if a guy took out his wang and urinated, you would see the stream leave the body.
And this is through those layers of
All
vegetation.
those layers, you betcha.
Wow.
That infrared was so unbelievably acute. Now, the infrared was on the left side of the airplane, just forward of the crew entrance door. In fact, you got the picture of the airplane right there. If you take a look over here, it's hard to see because it's a black airplane. That's a little black thing that's sitting right over there. Right over here. There's a little black thing over here. It's very hard to see. I'll show you on other pictures afterwards, but you'll see it a lot better. It's about almost a yard in diameter. Okay. And underneath that cover is almost a slightly conical shaped disc. That disc is cooled to within 10 degrees of absolute zero. Because 130 had the power to do that. It was 4 big prop engines. And it would detect minute changes in infrared energy. And it's just mind-boggling what you see. And so it gave you a system that if you came into troops in contact, you saw little white images of infrared energy on the ground indicate, they were human beings, that they generated heat. One mission in particular, to give you an example, it was in Laos, and the high regions of Laos, the central part of the country, and we got a really strong indication from our infrared of a really warm heat source. And when the TV slaved to it, was nothing. Just nothing there. And we took up an orbit at 360 degrees. We only saw it for about maybe 120, 130 degrees of the orbit. And then the thing would disappear. So I decided, I didn't know what it was, but I decided I'm going to shoot. We'll take some shots. Now, the ammo that we had for the 40 millimeters, there are two kinds. There's high explosives and mesh metal. High explosives is explanatory. It does, but blows up. Mesh metal burns around 3,000, gives you a circle of fire about 3,000 degrees centigrade. If a human being's caught in that 15 feet, he's a crispy critter. I mean, he's literally ash in a second. It will incinerate a human being in nothing flat. So we come up, and normally I take a 3-shot tweak, which is 3 shots to aim the weapon system. Well, in this case, I only did a 2-shot tweak because we only had 120 degrees. So at the beginning and end, get a 2-shot tweak, and then I tell Conrad, the pilot, fire for effect, number 4 gun, mesh mount. And so we skip in about 3 or 4 rounds, and the next thing I know, the whole mountain blows up. We literally blew 500 feet off the top of that mountain. And I had no idea what the hell we hit. Because I had a little screen, like yay big.
Yeah.
It's a little itsy bitsy thing. So we got back to the battle damage assessment check, and they got a screen, a humongous screen, 6 foot, maybe 6 foot wide. Put it on there. Now we're looking at that screen. It was a cave, and what we were painting was the body heat of the guys inside the cave.
Wow.
And of course, that was an ammo dump for the enemy. And when we blew the ammo, in fact, it was such big stuff that our F4 escorts had to pull off because there were parts of the mountain coming up at their altitude. We had to pull off too. That's how big, and the explosion was so big that all my senses were blank for about three minutes or so.
And this was made possible because of the new infrared system.
At the Ed 7.
Previously, what would you have seen, or would
No.
you have seen anything?
Not like that. It wouldn't have been that huge. It wasn't that sharp. The difference in technology in the Ed 6 and the Ed 7 was humongous. All right. Now we had 5 gunners aboard the airplane. 2 of them worked the front guns, and it was the 2 Vulcans, and 3 guys worked the 40s in the back. And then you had the illuminator operator in the back. And the IO is a very strange position, and I will show you pictures of this too, because he's normally a load master, but we weren't worried about load mastering. We're not taking our cargo. His job was to, there are 2 ramps in a 130. The lower ramp and the upper ramp. And we would fly with the upper ramp up and the lower ramp in the closed position. He would hang over the lower ramp into the slipstream and see the fire coming up. In order for the enemy to shoot at us, they had to use tracers, because that's the only way they could see if they're missing high, low, or different. That was their fire control problem. So all their shots had to be tracers, otherwise they can't aim their weapon system.
And could you describe for someone who might not know what that means?
A tracer is just a shot when it comes up. It just leaves a red trace, a red, yellow, blue, whatever the color is. And so the gunner can actually see the movement of the shell through space. It's still very destructive if it hits you, but it allows him to aim the weapon system. We didn't need tracers on our 40 millimeters because we would see the shells hit, and we would use tracers every 6th round in the Vulcan, because that's the way it came. And you could physically see it, or I would actually see the shells hitting on the ground too. So I see the traces, but it wasn't necessary. Even at the rate they fired, it looked like a steady stream of fire. And when you see it actually come out, it looks like someone putting a red hose. That's how many shells come out in 1 minute. The IO's main job was to see the enemy fire coming up and tell the aircraft commander, the pilot, where to put the airplane. And it would go something like this. AAA underneath. Brake left, brake left.
And he's literally shouting this out?
His interphone was 6 decibels higher than anything else in the airplane.
Okay.
So he's going to be overheard anything. Because both the pilot and the fire control officer had every interphone. We were the only 2 crew positions that had every interphone. We're the only 2 that also had the sounds of the Black Crow. We would hear what the Black Crow was hearing, which is the radar signals, the beep beep when the enemy radar was trying to paint you.
So what is it like having all of this communication going through you at the same time, in the context of everything else that you have to do anyway?
You just get adjusted to it. I can't explain to you. You know what you want to hear, and when you want to hear it.
Okay.
and you just